Hey guys, this is Reclaim. I go by Reclaim on the internet, and just kind of a funny name. I've always been interested in history, and I just thought that was kind of a fitting name for myself for my online persona. And well, I would just like to share a short story with you all, just a story of diversity from my youth that really affected my view on things. Like a lot of schools in the U.S. these days, I attended a school that was very diverse and had several instances of racial strife during the time that I was there. My situation may be a little different than yours, as I was sent to a school that was something of a reform school. Not that I was particularly bad. I got in trouble a few times for petty theft or an occasional physical fight at school, but nothing too bad. And I found that a lot of the kids that went to the school were kids that were just not really wanted at home. Their parents just didn't really want to deal with them. And a lot of kids from single moms or kids that had behavioral issues, and a lot of kids from the ghetto as well. The place was full of blacks, black kids from Philly and New Jersey and New York, kids that came from some rough neighborhoods, and then you had the white kids, the nice white kids from the suburbs who didn't really go out of their way to cause problems with anybody. Really, we were just a group of white kids just trying to go to school, and once we learned what that place was really like with all the diversity, we looked out for each other and just try to not say like to survive it, but just to look out for each other to try to get through that experience, because we all quickly learned that it was a very dysfunctional experience and just not an ideal situation for anybody. The actual demographics of that school, it was about 30% black and maybe 40% white. And then the rest was a mix of Latino or Korean or some other type of Asian. But things changed at night. At nighttime, most of the white kids would go home to their families who wanted them. And for the white kids that stayed, it was just different. The population at night was about 50% black, and then the rest were just white, Latino, Korean. And you could feel the difference, like when it was just majority black at nighttime. And but I'd like to tell a story just about one particular student, a young white boy named James. And James started at that school when I was already in my senior year, so he was just starting out. And there wasn't really a lot of opportunity or reason for me to interact with him so much. I didn't know him so well, but looking back, I wish I had taken some time to talk to that kid, to maybe try to help him work through some problems he was having. I noticed a few times he was getting bullied by some little goblin mixed race kid, and I just remember how disgusted I felt every time I saw that goblin face. From what I saw, that the mixed race kid was bullying James a lot, just mostly like verbally, but even I remember seeing some physical bullying going on there too. And that just the way the school was laid out, we had our dormitories on one side of the road, and we had the school on the other side. And I guess back in the day, that road was not as busy as it is now, so the school built a tunnel, a concrete tunnel underneath the road. And it was Well, I just remember my first few days at that school when I was just walking in that tunnel one night, just minding my business, when several blacks just pushed past me and jumped another black kid in that tunnel. I had never seen that type of attack before, but nowadays, those types of scenes of mob attacks are quite common on Twitter. It was really a terrifying experience for a white kid like me from the suburbs to see that. And well, one day James decided that he had had enough of getting pushed around, and I don't know if I believe the official story of what happened or not, mainly because I don't trust the little goblin kid, the bully. I don't think he was really a trustworthy person. And the story goes that the young kids were walking through the tunnel at night, heading back to the dorms, and when the goblin kid started bullying James again, this time James had decided that he'd had enough, and he lunged at the bully. And they say James must have hidden an X-Acto knife from art class that day. And so when James was lunging at that bully, they say that he had a X-Acto knife and that he intended to stab the bully. And I don't know if that's the real truth or not, because I find the people telling the story to be untrustworthy. When James started his attack, he was intercepted by an older black kid, maybe only 2 years older than James, but this black was already built like a machine, and the black kid knocked James so hard that James cracked his head open on the pavement there, suffering a traumatic brain injury. James got it pretty bad, to the point where he will never live a normal life again. James was never able to attend school again, and he, from what I know, he will require permanent care for the rest of his life. Just one more white kid who will never have a chance to grow up and fall in love, have a family. His potential was squashed in that tunnel. And I saw in the news years later that James' family had tried to sue the school and sue the black kid for negligence. That kid that had left him permanently brain damaged. But a jury cleared the school, and they cleared the black kid of any wrongdoing. They even referred to the black kid as a good Samaritan. No one ever mentions how the little shitskin goblin tormented James day in, day out. None of the adults at the school really cared about James and what he was going through. The school made it clear constantly that their focus was always on promoting diversity, and everything was about the public relations of the school and how they were trying to present their environment as a successful case of diversity. But I saw many times how the school administration would punish and publicly shame white students for the tiniest infraction, while refusing to punish black students at all, or even assign blame to them when they committed violence, theft, and property damage. Things that normal white kids at the school typically didn't engage in. And it was all just really blood boiling at times to be in that environment. When I went away to college, I would try to share my experience of what it was like growing up with these blacks and how the white students were treated. And but people would just call me the R word, because just a lot of white kids that I knew in college were just, maybe a lot of them came from small towns or stable families where they were far away from diversity. So they just didn't have any frame of reference what I was even talking about. They just thought I was a mean old racist. But even to this day, I still think about James and what he went through. And, it's just, I don't think James deserved what he got. No white kid deserves what James got. And even if he did try to stab that kid, it was an X-Acto knife. Like it wasn't like, it's like about what, like quarter of an inch to half an inch of blade. I don't think it would have even done that much damage, if that's even what really happened. And it's just, yeah, just one more story of a victim of diversity.